The city burned like a dying sun. Fire rushed through the narrow metal streets, filling the air with smoke and the taste of ash. Buildings cracked and collapsed as the enemy ships roared above, firing again and again. The alien colony of Shira 3 was already lost. Almost everyone had escaped into bunkers or evacuation tunnels, while the enemy kept attacking from the sky. But one man still ran through the flames. His name was Ethan Ward, a human soldier assigned to protect the colony. He had stayed behind to search for survivors. His suit was damaged, his face covered in sweat and dirt, and his lungs burned with every breath. But he did not stop. Then he heard it, a small cry, a thin voice. Weak, afraid. Ethan turned sharply. Through the smoke, he saw movement, something small and trembling behind a collapsed metal beam. He rushed forward, pushing aside burning debris. And there she was, a young alien girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old, with glowing purple skin and long white silver hair that was now dirty with ash. Her large blue eyes were wide with terror. Her thin hands shook as she tried to cover her ears from the explosions. She looked fragile, helpless, almost like she might break if even the smoke touched her. Ethan knelt beside her. "It's okay. I'm here to help you," he said in a calm voice. She shook her head quickly. No, leave me. I'm useless." Her voice cracked, as if someone had told her those words too many times. Ethan frowned. "No child is useless. Come on, I'm getting you out of here." She stared at him like she didn't believe him. But when another explosion hit nearby, she jumped forward and grabbed his arm tightly. Ethan lifted her into his arms and ran. Behind him, the building finally gave up and collapsed completely, sending sparks into the sky. The heat chased him down the street. The girl wrapped her arms around his neck, shaking from fear. "What's your name?" Ethan asked as he ran. "Sarah," she whispered. He nodded. "Sarah, I won't let anything happen to you." Sarah looked up at him, confused. No one had ever spoken to her with that much certainty. As Ethan reached the last street leading to the evac point, something strange happened. The fire in front of them suddenly twisted like a whirl of orange wind. It rose higher, forming patterns that almost looked like symbols. Ethan stopped for a moment, confused. Fire didn't move like that. He looked at Sarah. Her eyes glowed softly, brighter than before. Was she causing this? But she looked just as surprised as he did. Before he could ask, a loud metallic roar echoed behind them. Ethan turned and saw a large enemy walker, a tall metal machine with 4 legs and a powerful cannon mounted on top, stomping through the fire. Its sensors locked onto them. Ethan's heart dropped. He couldn't outrun this thing, not while holding a child. The walker raised its cannon. Sarah gasped and covered her eyes. Ethan tightened his grip around her and turned his back to the machine, ready to shield her from the shot with his own body. He had no shield, no cover, no plan. But then the air vibrated. A sudden pressure, like a pulse, spread out from Sarah. It was small, just a soft wave of energy. Ethan felt it through his armor. The fire around them suddenly leaned forward toward the walker, and then the explosion came. A massive burst of flame shot across the street, slamming into the metal machine. The walker staggered, sensors flickering. Its cannon overheated and burst. The entire machine collapsed into burning rubble. Ethan stared at Sarah, breathless. "You did that." Sarah shook her head quickly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I can't control it. They say it's useless. They say I'm broken." But what Ethan had seen was not useless. Not broken. It was powerful and dangerous. He didn't know how, but he knew one thing. Whatever ability she had was something the enemy wanted to destroy, not capture. That alone made her important. Maybe more important than anyone realized. Ethan carried her the rest of the way, moving quickly through the burning streets. They finally reached the evac zone where several alien survivors stood in fear and panic. When they saw Ethan carrying the girl, many of them whispered, "That child. Why her? She has no value. She cannot even pass tests. She is nothing." Ethan felt anger rise in his chest. "She's a child," he said firmly, "and she just saved my life." The aliens looked shocked. They had no idea what he meant. Moments later, a transport ship landed. Ethan stepped aboard with Sarah still holding on to him tightly. But as the ramp closed, Sarah whispered something he didn't expect. "They will come again," she said. "The ones attacking, they fear me. They fear what I can become." Ethan stared at her. "What can you become?" he asked softly. Sarah looked down at her hands, glowing faintly. "I don't know," she whispered. "But they do." And then the ship rose into the sky, leaving the burning colony behind. Ethan didn't know yet, but saving this one small, useless girl would soon shake the entire galaxy. And in just a few hours, every empire would bow to humanity. The transport ship cut through the clouds, leaving the burning colony far below. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Everyone sat quietly, staring at the floor or whispering softly. No one knew if the enemy would attack again. No one felt safe, except Ethan. He wasn't relaxed, but his mind was focused. He kept watching Sarah, who sat beside him holding a warm metal cup of water with both hands. She looked calmer now, but her large blue eyes kept searching the room, nervous and unsure. Some of the alien passengers still glanced at her with confusion or even annoyance. Ethan noticed it. Why did they treat her like she was nothing? He sat down beside her. "You okay?" Sarah nodded slowly, though her hands still trembled. "Yes, I think so." But the glow in her palms had not disappeared. It pulsed faintly, like a tiny heartbeat. Ethan leaned closer. "What you did back there, that wasn't small. You destroyed a whole battle walker." Sarah's eyes widened. "I didn't mean to. I don't understand it. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes nothing happens. They say I cannot control anything. They say I am a waste." Ethan shook his head. "You're not a waste. You saved both of us." She looked down again, confused by kindness she wasn't used to hearing. The ship's commander, a tall alien officer named Varen, walked toward them. He was stern and cold, with sharp golden eyes. Ethan stood up instinctively. "Human soldier," Varen said. "We need to ask the girl a few questions." Ethan replied firmly, "She's been through enough." Varen frowned. "She might be part of this attack." Sarah gasped and hid behind Ethan's arm. Ethan narrowed his eyes. "She's a child, and she's terrified. You saw what's happening down there. She didn't cause it." Varen hesitated. Then he gave a stiff nod and walked away. But his expression said something else. He was afraid, not of Ethan, but of Sarah. Ethan sat back down. "Why do they treat you like this?" Sarah took a shaky breath. "Because I failed the tests." "What tests?" "Power tests, ability tests. Every child on our world is tested. They want strong minds, strong energy, strong skills. I cannot control my power. It explodes or vanishes. They say it is unstable. They say I am dangerous. They say useless. But you're still a child," Ethan said gently. "Maybe you just need time." Sarah opened her mouth to speak, but the ship suddenly shook. Everyone froze. The alarm turned red. "Incoming signal. Unknown warships approaching." The pilot's voice shouted from the front. "Hostile ships on intercept. They're locking targeting beams." Fear spread through the cabin. Several aliens cried out and ducked. Varen grabbed a metal bar and shouted orders to the crew. Ethan pressed Sarah close. "They followed us," he whispered. Sarah nodded slowly. "Because of me." The ship trembled again as an enemy blast struck near the left wing. The lights flickered. The engine screamed. Another message came through the speakers. "They want the girl. They are demanding her surrender." The aliens gasped. One of them stood up and pointed at Sarah. "See, she brings danger. Give her to them." Another shouted, "She is not one of us. She is only a failed child. Let them take her." Ethan stepped forward, fury burning in his chest. "You hand over a child to be killed? What is wrong with you?" The crowd grew louder, panicked, desperate. "Give her to them. She's not worth all our lives. She has nothing." Ethan held Sarah behind him. "Stay back," he warned the crowd. Varen stepped between them. "Enough. Sit down. All of you." But even he looked uncertain. The ship shook again. A louder explosion ripped across the hull. The oxygen lights flickered yellow. Sarah covered her ears and squeezed her eyes shut. Ethan knelt in front of her. "Look at me." She hesitated, then opened her eyes. "Do you trust me?" Ethan asked softly. She nodded. "Yes." "Good. Then listen. You're not useless. And you're not going anywhere. I'll protect you." But something inside her changed at those words. Almost like a switch turned on. Her glowing hands suddenly brightened. The air around her shimmered. Ethan felt a warm wave of energy flow from her skin. She whispered, "They fear what I can do, what I can become." Another explosion hit the ship, but the fire near the windows suddenly bent away, pushed aside by invisible force. Ethan looked at her in shock. "Sarah, are you doing that?" "I think so," she whispered. I feel something." Lights flickered. The enemy ships fired again, but the blast curved away, missing the transport completely. Everyone stared at Sarah now, not with hate or fear, but stunned astonishment. "Her energy," Varen said quietly, "it is shielding the ship." But Sarah was sweating, shaking, eyes glowing brighter than before. "I can't hold it long." Ethan grabbed her hands. "You're doing great. Just breathe. I'm right here." Outside, the enemy ship circled, confused. Inside, Sarah's power grew. And for the first time in her life, every eye in the room looked at her not with disgust, but with awe. Little did they know, this tiny girl, once called useless, was about to awaken a power that would shake every empire in the galaxy and force them to kneel to humanity. The transport ship kept shaking as it flew through the upper atmosphere. Enemy ships still followed behind, their red targeting beams flashing across the sky. But every time they fired, the blast curved away, pushed aside by the invisible force around the transport. And Sarah was at the center of it. Her small hands glowed brighter, like twin stars. Her eyes were shining blue, almost white. Her breathing was fast and shaky, and sweat formed on her forehead. Ethan stayed on one knee in front of her, holding her hands firmly. "Stay with me. You're okay. You're doing great." Sarah nodded, but her body trembled. "It hurts like something heavy is inside me." Ethan squeezed her hands gently. "You're brave. Just breathe. You're not alone." Behind him, every alien watched in silence. No one calling her useless now. Even the cold commander Varen stood, like a statue, shocked. The pilot shouted over the speaker, "Enemy ships still in pursuit. They are trying to circle around us." Varen turned to the control panel. "Can we reach Allied space?" "No," the pilot responded. "We will not last long. The engines are overheating. We need a miracle." Everyone looked at Sarah. She looked terrified. Ethan shook his head. "No, she's a child. She's already done more than anyone here." But Sarah suddenly whispered, "I feel something in the sky." Ethan blinked. "Feel what?" Sarah pointed upward weakly. "Something calling me. Something strong like the sun is speaking." No one understood what she meant. But moments later, the ship rose to the last layer of clouds, and the sky opened into a glowing blue ocean of light. And then, a giant burst of energy flashed across the sky above them. It was not from Sarah. Everyone gasped, because filling the sky was a massive figure of light, almost like a giant humanoid shape made of crackling blue energy. It stretched across the edge of the atmosphere like a sky-sized guardian. The enemy ship stopped immediately, confused and frightened. Varen grabbed the window frame. What is that?" Ethan stared with wide eyes. "It's impossible." But Sarah's eyes widened even more. Her glowing hands grew even warmer. She whispered, "It feels like me." Suddenly, the giant figure of light shimmered and bent its face slowly toward their ship. A deep voice, not heard with ears but felt inside the bones, rumbled through the air. "Ether child, awaken." Sarah gasped and almost collapsed if Ethan didn't catch her. The aliens screamed in fear. Some fell to the ground. Others reached for safety bars. None of them had ever seen or heard anything like this. Ethan held Sarah tightly. "What does it mean? Who is it talking to?" Sarah looked terrified. Me? Her voice was barely a whisper. I think it's calling me. The gigantic light figure raised one glowing arm. The enemy ships panicked, trying to fire again, but the energy in the sky twisted their blast harmlessly away. Then another deep voice echoed, "Protect the Ether Child." Varen turned pale. Ether? But that is only a legend. What legend? Ethan demanded. Varen swallowed hard. Long ago, in the ancient history of the galaxy, there were children born with unmatched cosmic energy. They were said to control stars, flames, light, and space itself. They were called Etherborn, but we believed all of them vanished thousands of years ago. He stared at Sarah like seeing a ghost. No one has seen an Etherborn in ages, until now. Ethan looked at Sarah, holding her close. So she's not useless. Varen shook his head slowly. No, she is the rarest life form in the galaxy. Outside, the giant energy figure pointed one glowing hand at the enemy fleet. Every ship shook uncontrollably. The figure thundered, "Touch her and fall." Then the figure exploded into a brilliant wave of blue energy that rushed across the sky. It hit the enemy ships with the strength of a star. Boom, boom, boom. One by one, the enemy ships burst into smoke and spinning debris, falling like broken toys through the clouds. Inside the transport, everyone stared in frozen silence. Ethan held Sarah tighter as her glow dimmed and her breathing slowed. "Sarah," he whispered, "are you all right?" She nodded softly. "It wasn't me, not fully. It was like something old, something powerful, protecting me." Then she looked at Ethan with fear. "They won't stop now. They will send more. Bigger ones. Stronger ones. They will never let someone like me live." Ethan looked right into her glowing eyes. "Then they will have to go through me." Her eyes softened. "Why do you care so much? I am not even human." Ethan smiled faintly. "Doesn't matter. You're a kid, and you saved my life. And you're good. That's enough." Suddenly the pilot shouted, "We have a new signal. A massive ship incoming." Everyone braced themselves. But when the new ship appeared through clouds, it wasn't the enemy. It was a giant Earth Federation dreadnought, powerful enough to wipe out an entire fleet. Ethan's radio crackled with a familiar voice. "Ethan, we got your signal. You're coming home." And as the Earth ship opened its hangar doors, Sarah whispered, "Maybe humanity is where I belong." She didn't know it yet, but the galaxy had already changed. And soon every empire would kneel. The Earth Federation dreadnought swallowed the small transport ship inside its massive hangar. Metal doors sealed shut behind them, blocking out the ruined sky of Shira 3. The loud engines faded into quiet hums. Ethan carried Sarah down the ramp. She leaned against him, exhausted, her glowing hands dim now. Almost normal. The aliens from the transport kept a few steps behind, whispering among themselves. Human soldiers formed two perfect lines in the hangar, weapons lowered but ready. At the end of the formation stood Admiral Rhea Calder, a tall woman with iron-gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She watched Sarah carefully. "Sergeant Ethan Ward," she said, her voice steady. "You sent a distress code. You mentioned a child. This is her?" Ethan nodded. "Her name is Sarah. The enemy targeted her. They want her at any cost." Admiral Calder studied Sarah closely. "What's special about her?" Before Ethan could answer, Commander Varen stepped forward. "She is an Etherborn," he said, bowing his head slightly. The hangar went silent. The human soldiers exchanged confused looks, but Admiral Calder's eyes widened. Only for a second. Then her expression hardened again. Ethan frowned. "You've heard of this before?" Calder exhaled slowly. "Only rumors. Old reports. Classified files so old we thought they were myths. Etherborn, children born with cosmic energy in their bodies, capable of changing the battlefield by their very existence." Sarah lowered her head. "Everyone says I'm broken." Calder crouched down so she was eye level with Sarah. "Broken? You? Child, the enemy followed you across a planet just to kill you. No empire wastes that effort on someone useless." Sarah blinked. "But I cannot control anything." Calder smiled faintly. That is something we can fix. Sarah looked confused. Ethan watched quietly, grateful someone else finally spoke to Sarah with kindness. But then an alarm echoed through the ship. Incoming message, priority red. A hologram flickered into existence beside Calder. A deep, urgent voice spoke. Admiral, the enemy fleet has launched a full-scale attack. Hundreds of ships are moving toward your position. Calder stood instantly. They are coming for the girl. Ethan tightened his grip around Sarah's shoulders. They won't get her. We'll protect her. But then something unexpected happened. Another hologram flickered to life, this time a symbol, not a face. A golden spiral with sharp wings. Varen gasped. That is the symbol of the Obsidian Empire. Ethan tensed. Who are they? Varen swallowed. The strongest empire in the galaxy. They have destroyed dozens of worlds. They fear only one thing, Etherborn, and they will kill any child with that power before the child reaches full strength. Ethan's jaw tightened. So Sarah scares him. Varen nodded. More than anything. The hologram shifted, showing a tall alien warlord with black armor and burning red eyes. His voice was cold and merciless. To the human ship, surrender the Ether child immediately. Failure to comply will result in the destruction of your entire fleet. You have 1 hour. The hologram vanished. Silence filled the hangar. Then Calder spoke, low and dangerous. They think they can threaten Earth? They think we will hand over a child? Not while I breathe. Sarah clung to Ethan's sleeve. I don't want people hurt because of me. Ethan knelt down. You're not the problem. Sarah, they are. Calder turned to her officers. Get this child to the inner core deck. Maximum shields. I want 10 squads guarding that corridor. But Sarah suddenly shook her head. No, hiding won't stop them. They will keep coming. They won't stop, not until I'm gone. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to fight. You're just a kid. Sarah looked up at him, eyes shimmering with fear and something else. Something ancient. What if I am meant to do something? She whispered. The lights flickered overhead. Her power was growing again. Calder frowned. What's happening? Sarah lifted a hand, staring at her own skin as it glowed brighter. I hear something, she said softly. Something calling me. Ethan asked, Calling you from where? She pointed upward. From outside in space. At that exact moment, the ship shook violently. Officers ran to stations. The hangar doors closed with heavy locks. Calder shouted intercom. Report. A voice answered. The Obsidian Empire fleet is here. Over 100 warships. They are charging their planet-killer weapons. Sarah gasped and gripped Ethan's arm tightly. They're going to destroy this ship. Not if we stop them, Ethan said, but Calder shook her head. We can't win a fight against 100 warships. They want the girl. They think she's a threat. We need a plan. Varen stepped forward. There's only one way to activate an Etherborn's full potential. Everyone turned toward him. Varen continued quietly. They must be pushed to the edge of their deepest fear or deepest courage. Only then does the ether awaken fully. Sarah trembled. But if it awakens, I don't know what I will become. Ethan looked her in the eyes. You won't face it alone. I'm here. We all are. And then a massive explosion rocked the entire dreadnought. Lights shut down. The engine screamed. The ship tilted violently as alarms blared across every deck. The Obsidian Empire had fired their first shot. Calder shouted, Everyone brace. Battle stations. Sarah stared at the shaking walls, fear flooding her eyes. What do I do? She whispered. Ethan squeezed her hand. You become who you were meant to be. And in that moment, the energy inside Sarah began to rise. The galaxy was changing fast. On different planets, leaders watched a girl named Lyra standing beside Kale. Some aliens feared her, some respected her, and some wanted her dead. But almost all of them wanted one thing, answers. Why was this useless girl so important? Why did the fire-resistant empire fall in minutes? And why did every hidden power in the galaxy suddenly look terrified? No one knew. But Kale had one message for everyone. Humanity will protect her. But Lyra herself still did not understand why she mattered so much. She only knew one thing. She had been running her whole life, and now her past was finally catching up. A meeting that changed everything. Part 5 begins with Kale and Lyra arriving at the ruins of an ancient alien fortress. The place was silent, cold, and filled with broken statues of warriors. Lyra looked at each statue with worry. "Kale, I have been here before," she whispered. Her legs trembled. Kale gently touched her shoulder. "Tell me what you remember." "I remember," screams. "I remember soldiers searching for children like me." Kale felt a chill. Children? Why would they look for children? Before Lyra could answer, a loud echo came from the dark hallway. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Metallic. Kale immediately stepped in front of her, holding his weapon tightly. But the creature who stepped into view was not an enemy. It was a tall alien with glowing white armor and deep silver eyes. "I am Commander Varen," the alien said calmly. "And I have been waiting for you, Lyra." Lyra took a step back. She knew that name. She had heard it whispered in nightmares. You were one of the hunters," she whispered. Kale raised his gun. "If you touch her..." Varen lifted one hand. "Please, I am not here to fight. I am here to tell the truth she deserves." Kale didn't trust him, but he didn't shoot. "Speak," Kale said. Varen bowed his head. Something no alien commander had ever done to a human. The hidden secret. "Lyra," Varen said softly, "you are not useless. You never were. Your people were not weak. They were the strongest minds the galaxy ever created." Lyra's eyes filled with confusion. Varen continued, voice heavy. "You belong to the astral lineage, the last of the starborn. Your ancestors could sense danger before it arrived. They could connect minds. They could change energy itself with a thought." Kale looked stunned. "You're telling me she is, what? A weapon?" "No," Varen said. "A warning." The fortress walls suddenly lit up with blue light. Ancient symbols glowed around them. These ruins were built by her ancestors. They predicted a great danger coming to the galaxy. Something older than any empire. Something powerful enough to erase every race. Lyra felt her chest tighten. If my people knew this, why did they run? Why did they hide me? Varen's expression darkened. "Because the empires feared your kind," he said. "They feared that the Starborn could unite the galaxy against them. So they hunted every child with your bloodline." Lyra's breath broke. She had thought she was weak. She had thought she had no value. But the truth hit her like a storm. She had been hunted not because she was useless, but because she was powerful. Kale slowly put his hand on her back. "You're not alone anymore. The galaxy reacts." While Kale and Lyra learned the truth, news spread across the galaxy. Human boy protects Starborn girl. Ancient power returns. Empires prepare for war. Some planets gathered armies. Some begged for peace. Some demanded Lyra be handed over. One message stood out from the rest. "Bring us the girl, or Earth will be destroyed." A council of 10 empires signed it. Kale read the message and his jaw tightened. They don't want peace. They want control. Lyra hugged herself. "They will kill everyone just to get me." Kale took her hand firmly. "Over my dead body." The return of an enemy. That night, while Kale and Lyra rested in the fortress, alarms echoed through the ancient halls. Varen ran into the room. "They found us." "How many?" Kale asked. "A whole army." Outside, the sky turned red as enemy ships descended. Giant metal doors broke open. Dozens of armored soldiers marched in, controlled by the cruel empire that once burned Lyra's village. Their leader stepped forward, General Zorth, the same alien who called Lyra worthless before Kale rescued her. Well, Zorth hissed. "The little girl survived. How disappointing." Kale stood in front of her again. "You will not touch her." Zorth laughed. "You? A human? Stop me? This is something only a fool would try." Kale smiled coldly. "Good. I've always been a bit of a fool." The power awakens. As the soldiers raised their weapons, Lyra felt something strange in her chest. The walls of the fortress glowed. Energy moved through the air. Her heartbeat synced with the light. The ancient fortress responded to her presence. "Kale," she whispered, "I feel something." Kale looked at her. "What do you feel?" "Everything." Light burst from her hands, soft but powerful. The soldiers froze as the energy swept through the room like a wind of stars. General Zortha's eyes widened. "Impossible! She is awakening." Kale took her hand. "I'm right here. Don't be afraid." Lyra's voice trembled. "I'm not afraid anymore." And the fortress roared to life. The ancient fortress shook as Lyra's power woke up. Blue light burst from the walls, crawling across the floor like rivers of energy. Dust rose from the stone pillars, while strange symbols glowed above the doorways. Kale stood beside Lyra, watching her with shock and worry. "Lyra, you're glowing," he whispered. Her hands shimmered with star-like dust. Her eyes became bright silver, reflecting the ancient energy inside the fortress. "I don't understand what's happening," she said softly. "I can feel everything, every sound, every movement, even the fear around us." Kale kept his voice calm. "You're in control. Remember that." But even he didn't fully believe it. Zortha's fear, General Zorth, the alien who had once called her worthless, stepped backward. For the first time, fear moved across his face. "One child, waking the Star Fortress?" he whispered. "No, this is impossible." Kale raised his weapon at him. "You're scared now? After everything you did to her?" Zortha's voice cracked. "That girl brings destruction. Her people, her kind, they ended empires long before humanity existed." Lyra shook her head. "My people didn't destroy. They warned. They tried to help. You all tried to kill us." The walls behind her pulsed with light, as if agreeing. "The fortress speaks." A deep voice echoed from the stone, ancient, calm, and powerful. "Star-born blood detected. Lineage restored. Threat approaching." The entire floor trembled. Kale stiffened. "Threat? What threat?" The voice replied. "The Devourer wakes. All life is at risk." Zorth gasped. "No, that is only a myth." The fortress answered. "The Devourer is truth, and only a Starborn can guide the galaxy against it." Everyone froze. Kale looked at Lyra. "So you're the key, the one they need." Lyra's voice broke. "All this time, I thought I was nothing, but I was just hunted." Kale stepped in front of her. "You're not hunted anymore. Not as long as I breathe. The enemy flees, but not for long." Realizing Lyra's power was beyond control, Zorth pointed at her and screamed. "Fall back. Everyone retreat. Contact the Council. Tell them the Star-born girl has awakened." Alien soldiers rushed out in fear. Their ships lifted off in panic, leaving dust clouds behind. But Kale knew this wasn't over. "They're not running away," he said. "They're going to gather every army they have." Varen, the armored commander who had once hunted Lyra, stepped forward slowly. "He is right," Varen said. "Zorth will return with the strength of 10 empires. They want the girl alive, but they will destroy Earth if she refuses to come." Lyra felt her legs weaken. "I don't want anyone to die because of me." Kale held her hand firmly. "That's not your fault. It's theirs." A message from the Council. The fortress's ceiling suddenly exploded with blue sparks. A giant hologram formed in the air. 10 alien leaders from 10 great empires. Their voices spoke together. "Human Kale. Alien girl Lyra. We demand your surrender. Deliver the Starborn to our ships within 24 hours. If you refuse, Earth will burn." Kale stepped forward. He didn't bow. He didn't lower his eyes. "You threaten my planet because a teenage girl exists?" he said coldly. "You call yourselves leaders, but you're afraid of child." One of the alien leaders hissed. "She is not a child. She is a danger." Kale snapped back. "She is a person." Lyra's heart squeezed. No one had ever defended her like that. The Council replied. "Our armies arrive at dawn. Choose wisely, human." The hologram faded. Earth responds. Moments later, a signal came from Earth. A human admiral appeared on a small screen, a woman with sharp eyes and a strong voice. "Kale, we received the threat. Do not hand her over. Kale nodded. I wasn't planning to. The Admiral continued. Humanity stands with the girl. And with you. Lyra stared at the screen with shock. Why? You don't even know me. The Admiral smiled softly. We don't abandon those who need us. And we don't bow to fear. Lyra swallowed hard. This was why the galaxy feared humans. They didn't kneel. Lyra's terror and courage. As night fell, Lyra sat alone inside a quiet chamber of the fortress. Kale came to sit beside her. You're thinking again, he said. I'm trying to understand why this is happening, she whispered. I don't want people to die. I don't want Earth to suffer. Maybe I should surrender. Kale grabbed her shoulders firmly. Lyra, look at me. She lifted her eyes slowly. You are not the danger, Kale said. You are the shield. The galaxy is lying because they're scared of losing control. But what if I can't stop this devourer? She whispered. Kale smiled gently. Then I'll stop it with you. Her chest tightened with emotion. No one had ever stood with her like this. The soldiers arrived early. Just before dawn, alarms screamed through the fortress. Varen rushed inside. They're here! Hundreds of ships. They came early, 2 hours before the deadline. Kale cursed. They don't want negotiations. They want war. Lyra stood up slowly, her silver eyes glowing brighter than before. I won't run, she said quietly. I won't hide anymore. Kale nodded. Then let's face them together. The fortress door opened. Outside, thousands of enemy soldiers surrounded the ruins. Ships covered the sky like black clouds. A loud voice echoed. Give us the Starborn girl or we start the destruction. Kale looked at Lyra. Ready? Lyra gently held his hand. Yes, with you. I'm ready. The ground trembled. The air shook. The galaxy was about to witness a moment it would never forget. Dawn came slowly. A cold wind moved across the ancient fortress as Kale and Lyra stepped outside. Above them, thousands of alien ships hovered like iron clouds. Their engines growled across the sky, shaking the ground. Varen stood behind them, sword drawn, armor glowing faintly. Even he, one of the strongest commanders in the galaxy, looked tense. Remember, he whispered, they will not stop until they take her. Kale stepped forward, voice steady. They will fail. The alien council arrives. A giant hologram appeared above the fortress. 10 leaders, each representing an empire. Their faces were cold, proud, and full of fear. Human Kale, the council spoke. This is your last chance. Hand over the Starborn girl. Kale didn't move. Lyra squeezed his hand tightly. Her voice trembled. They won't let Earth live, even if I go with them. Kale nodded. I know. One of the alien leaders laughed cruelly. Humans, always stubborn. You cannot protect her. Your planet will burn. Kale smiled coldly. You think humans are weak. You think we kneel. But you forget something. Humans don't back down from tyrants. The council leader hissed. Then your world dies. The sky lit up. Missiles armed. Weapons charged. Armies prepared to fire. Lyra steps forward. Before Kale could react, Lyra let go of his hand and walked forward. He quickly grabbed her arm. Lyra, no. She gave him a small, brave smile. If I run, people will die. If I hide, you will die. I won't let that happen. Blue energy began to glow around her skin, rising like soft burning light. This ends now. She stepped into the center of the battlefield. The alien armies aimed everything at her. Zorith, the cruel general who once called her worthless, yelled, Target lock, fire. The awakening. The moment the first shot flew toward Lyra, the fortress exploded with light. A giant wave of blue energy burst from the ground, expanding outward like a star being born. The light hit the enemy missiles and dissolved them instantly. It hit the alien soldiers, knocking them back but not killing them. It reached the sky, pushing ships back like leaves in a storm. Kale shielded his eyes. Lyra? She floated above the ground, hair rising like silver fire, eyes burning with ancient power. The voice of the fortress echoed again. Starborn Ascendant activated. the power the galaxy feared. Lyra's voice came out calm, soft, but filled with strength. I am not your weapon. I am not your prisoner. I am the last of the astral line, and I choose peace. She raised her hand. A massive wave of light shot into the sky and spread across the battlefield. Alien soldiers dropped their weapons in panic. Ships spun out of formation. The Council's hologram flickered violently. Zorth fell to his knees. This cannot be one girl holding back an entire fleet. Kale walked to her slowly. He wasn't afraid. He didn't back away. When he reached her, he held her glowing hands gently. You're doing great, he whispered. Her glow softened, calming. I'm not strong alone, she said softly. You keep me grounded. The council breaks. One of the council leaders shouted. This power, this is why the Starborn must be controlled. Lyra looked up at them sadly. No, this is why you fear us. She closed her eyes. Light spread again, but this time it showed memories. Holograms appeared in the sky. Her people helping other species. Her people warning about the Devourer. Empires refusing to listen. Empires attacking children. Empires destroying villages. Empires calling them dangers. The truth was clear. The Starborn were never the threat. The empires were afraid of losing control. The galaxy watched in silence as centuries of lies were revealed. Kale speaks for humanity. Kale stepped forward, standing beside Lyra in front of all 10 empires. You called her useless. You called her dangerous. You hunted her because she was born different. But look at her now. She has the power to destroy all of you, and she chooses not to. He spread his arms. That is what strength looks like. That is what humanity stands with. The entire battlefield went silent. The galaxy kneels. One alien captain stepped forward and knelt. Then another. Then another. Within seconds, thousands of soldiers kneeled before Lyra and Kale. Even Varen, the great commander, lowered his head. The council panicked. What are you doing? She is a threat. But the soldiers ignored them. An alien elder spoke, loudly. She is not the threat. The Devourer is coming, and we need the Starborn to survive. Another added, and humanity stood by her when we all wanted her dead. We follow them. The Council's power collapsed. Empires broke their allegiance. The galaxy chose Lyra and humanity. A new dawn. Lyra slowly floated down to ground. Her glow faded, leaving her looking like a normal girl again. Small, fragile, but stronger than ever. Kale caught her gently. You okay? He whispered. She nodded weakly. Just tired. He smiled. A nap after saving the galaxy sounds fair. She laughed softly. Around them, alien leaders bowed their heads. For the first time, Varen said, the galaxy bows to Earth. Lyra looked at Kale. I wasn't worthless. He touched her cheek gently. You were never worthless. You were extraordinary. And now, everyone finally sees it. She leaned her head on his shoulder. The sun rose behind them. The galaxy was at peace. Because a human boy chose to save a girl everyone else wanted dead. And because that girl became the light the galaxy desperately needed.